Hello and welcome to Potg of the Geeks. This is a conversion video for the Dark Mechanicum. So if you've watched me unboxing video of these guys, you'll see them stick them together, which is the option I took before I converted them. So because I wanted to see what they look like as well, normally. Give me an idea of how much I wanted to convert them. So these guys are going to be Dark Mechanicum because the overwhelming vote on the site was to go Dark Mechanicum, which is cool. Not one vote for Mechanicum, so these guys are going to go Dark. So it's just how much I want to convert them into Dark. And the models are very cool, so I don't want to do too much work on them to make them completely unrecognisable. But what we need to do is we're going to start by making those cloaks look a bit less clean. I'm going to ragged them up. I mean, you could do this with normal Mechanicum as well if you wanted, just to make them look a bit more battle worn. But what I'm going to do is get some raggedy cloaks on there. So this guy, may as well pick him up first. We'll start with him. So the first thing you're going to need is some files. These are the Citadel files. There you go. Those are the ones that came with the actual kit. You're going to need a drill as well. And you're probably going to need a knife, probably a scraper, and maybe a set of clippers. And if you've got some different size drill bits as well, that could come in handy. Let's get these open. But what we're going to do, we're going to put some holes in and we're going to do fraying on the edges. So I'm going to start with the holes actually, because I'm in that kind of mood. I'm going to start with some small holes. We've got a small drill bit in there. And if you look when you put the models together, the cloak and the legs are separate. So this should be fairly straightforward. If you didn't want to stick this together, I would suggest you put the two parts of the cloak together. And then do your weathering on the cloak and everything before you stick it together. I've made it a bit more difficult for myself by doing that. But like I said, I wanted to see what they look like together normally, because these are brand new models and I haven't seen their like before, so I want to see what they're like. And it's also given me some ideas on the way that they go together as to do some future conversions, but I'll get to them another time. So I'm going to start by drilling some holes, which look like either bullet holes or just weathering holes. And the Dark Mechanicum, I've done a bit of research on it. There isn't a great deal out there. We've got different worlds that have been taken over by the Dark Mechanicum. And there's lots of references to them, but not a great deal of well, large source material, shall we say, on colour schemes and what they look like. So I think they're a bit random really. So we've got a little hole there. Doesn't matter too much if it goes through into the leg. You're not going to see it anyway. I'm going to put a little cluster of holes together. So yeah, we don't really know too much about them. We just know they turn to chaos, obviously. Maybe some of them haven't. Maybe some of them have just gone renegade and not really chaos followers. That'd be a pretty cool story. But these guys are going to be chaos followers. And I feel drawn towards one of my Patreon gods, which is obviously either Nurgle or Tzinch. And because I've got Death Guard and all the others to go with it, so you see, do a little three-way hole there. So already showing a slightly Nurgle-esque symbol there. So that's going to be a theme. I'm going to have like little three holes here and there hidden across the various models. But that we're going to make them a bit more ragged when we come to the weathering stage. And I'm going to stick another couple of holes on the other side. But I'm probably going to use, there's not going to be like a Nurgle symbol, there's going to be a couple of bigger holes, look more like tears probably when I'm finished. Just going to unscrew this, put the bigger drill bit in. So yeah, I've been looking at various ideas, slightly inspired by Wormhordes actually, and the Cricks, because I do have a small force of them, very small force, I've had for many years. They're all metal ones. I think they do plastic ones now, but I don't really play Warhammer Hordes per se. I've collected some of the models over time. I like the undead sort of nature of Cricks with the weird malefic sort of sorceries and steampunk engines put in. So I think there might be a little bit of influence from them coming into these guys. Not a lot, just a little. But one of the ideas I had that I was going to say before was, because the legs on these guys are separate, I could see some very cool ideas for conversions where you just replace the legs with like spider limbs. You like 4 spider limbs. Because the next thing that's coming out, which might be out by the time this video's up by the way, but at the moment it's not out, is the Onager, like a spider tank, which looks a bit more spidery than the Defiler. Just going to put a couple of holes in there like that for now. So what we're going to do now is, now we've got a few holes in there to make it look a bit more ragged. I might put some in later, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to get the knife next. Good old knifey. And if you're a child, please don't use a knife. Get an adult to do it for you. If you're an irresponsible adult, well, you know, don't hurt yourself, whatever you... So those holes that we've made, I'm just going to cut away a little bit at the bottom, like so, and just work them down so that you get like a, let me see on that, if you get like a tear forming down in the cloth or the cloth or whatever it's made. It's like a rad cloth, I think it is. Like a tear forming down, it looks a bit worn. So we're going to cut away at the bottom bit. It almost looks like, you know, blood flowing, if you will, out of a wound. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that on all those holes that I did before. I'll probably do a bit more on these ones because I want them to be more like tears and these to be more like perhaps a hint at being a Nurgle symbol. I'm also going to cut some little bits out of the end of this. Turn it around, and this would also be easier if it wasn't stuck together first, because you can really get down onto the mat and do some good groove cuts on. So I'm going to do my next 2 box sets, which I've got sat here. Got another 2 box sets for Skitarii. One which will be made into Vanguard, which I might do a unboxing video on, showing you how to put the Vanguard together. But I will probably convert them before I stick them together. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this, just like I'm doing now. I'm going to get a bit closer in, so I'm going to turn the camera off to get a bit close to the mat. And I'll be back with you once I've done the knife work. Okay, so I've been around the bottom of that cloak and give it a good knife work on there. So we have these ridges in there now. I've also put another hole there, because I thought it could do with a bit more of a tear there. And I worked the knife up and down on that to make it look more like a tear. Those two sort of naturally went through into one big tear, which looks alright to me, it's cool. And did a little bit around the front and did a little bit on the back bit there. I cut that bit off to make it look even more ragged. So the next job is to take a file. Now we're just going to file down the rough edges of where the knife work is to make it look more worn rather than cut. So it's just a case of taking the file. And again, just like before, it would probably be easier if he wasn't on his base and didn't have the legs in place. But we're just going to go through where we've got the holes. I'm going to file them down now, and probably go into there and file that down a bit to make it a bit smoother. So it doesn't look quite as rough and looks more worn. So we're going for like a worn look because this is cloth. You can cut cloth and it can be quite severe, but it looks better if it's worn, I think. So I'm just going to do that off camera, so you can see that. And I'll be back once I've done the whole thing. Okay, we're back. So I think I've got the right sort of mix that I'm happy with there between worn and cut. So I've been around it all, been around the little holes I've put in there. And I've given that a good filing down. If you do it this way and put them together first, just be careful of the little antenna there. I was putting a lot of pressure on that and nearly snapped off. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to get rid of that purity seal for a start. So I'm just going to lob that purity seal off using a pair of clippers. Because we don't want purity seals. Some of the dark Mechanicum. Get rid of that. And I'm going to just file that area down. And I've cut that off. Just make sure there's no others. And what we're going to do, I'm going to put a little dedication to Nurgle there instead. So let me just file it down and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so Nurgle symbols can be done in various different ways, but I like the simplicity of Nurgle. I'm just going to use some epoxy resin or green stuff, 2-part resin. I'm just going to meld that together. I mean, more than the other gods, it lends itself to just 3 little circles, which work really well when using green stuff or having little things growing there. And what we're going to do, we're going to make like a little Nurgle symbol and just have it on the cloak. So hopefully this goes well. So we're probably going to want, once the green stuff's cured, we're going to want a sculpting tool with a flat edge. See which one's best. Okay, so the easiest way, get 3 tiny little bits of green stuff, roll them into a ball. Okay, it can be a bit fiddly because you don't want too much. You want small pieces of green stuff. They don't have to be exactly the same size with Nurgle, because again he's not too fussed. He's quite happy with a lot of things. These might be a bit big. But you just want to stick best way, start by sticking 3 pieces of green stuff there. That's a good start. Might be a little bit too much though. Okay, see how a perfectly good Nurgle symbol there. What we're going to do though, we're going to soften that down. So make sure you've got a wet scalpel. Use a little bit of water just to dampen it, that way the green stuff doesn't stick to it. I'm just going to pat them down so they look flatter. Like so. They'll lose a little bit of the circular shape, but that doesn't really matter too much. Like so. And then you can use the blade part just to bring the circles back a little bit. And flatten the edges down as well. Hopefully you can see it on the camera. I'm not too far out. So I'm just going to flatten that down and get rid of any fingerprint marks or any other marks that might be on there. Always keep your scalpel, your tool wet when you're doing that. It's a little bit big. I like that a little bit smaller, but it'll do. It's a nice sort of little symbol there on the cloak instead of a purity seal. That's good enough actually. That's good enough. You can do lots of things with that. You could put another 3 little dots on top of it and make it stand out even more. So you got like a classic sort of little symbol. I'm just going to leave it flat though, because you'd have to probably let it dry anyway to get the best effect of that. You could also drill holes in the middle of that to make it look a bit cooler. What I intend to do is try and, well, maybe won't, depends on how it looks, is try and paint the biohazard symbol on when I'm painting. But yeah, so far so good. So the next thing would be to remove any Adeptus Mechanicus symbolism and replace it with something a bit more heretical. You can't really see it because of the gun on this guy, but when we do one of the other ones I shall show you what to do on that. So I'm going to get the other guys up to the same standard as this and I shall rejoin you. Hello and I'm back. Just a quick update. I've done some weathering on the leader model. There you can go and see how much I've done there. There was a little purity seal on his cloak where that hole is, which I cut off, and there's another one just above it on the arm. That one I left on and put the little Nurgle symbol onto that. I've also gone back over the first one and put little nicks and cuts in the hood and the arms and filed them down a bit because they looks a bit clean compared to the rest of the cloak. So, and obviously they're going to get frayed as well. So then I repeated that onto this guy. The Mechanicum symbol I've cut off, leaving the cog around where his heart is, if you will, and I drilled a hole in there. So what I was going to do with that, take some of this wire and cut it off, and then I bent it around the circular part of the drill actually, or any object. A pen would work quite well to get this sort of shape. So what we're going to do, we're going to slot a pipe going from where his heart is into that side hole there. Where's that bit of green stuff? And it just takes a little bit of bending to get it into place. If we get some glue as well. Bend it into place first, get it all positioned, then come back and glue it later. That's my advice. So we've bent it into position. And now we're going to glue it. And hopefully it'll be okay. So we'll get that in there, like so. And then that should go up to his chest, into that hole there. With a little bit of persuasion, like so. And then we have a pipe running from his chest into his side, just randomly nothing, but it does get rid of the Mechanicum symbol and it looks pretty cool if you ask me anything. It's pretty like he's been augmented in ways he shouldn't have been, or he's had repairs because he's a dark Mechanicum guy and he has to make do with what he's got. So cool, that's the first two done. So I'm going to repeat this process across all these guys and cut off any of the Mechanicum symbols. Try and cut that bit off behind the gun. Again, a lot easier done if you do it before you stick them together. That's the main lesson from this. And I shall be back with you once I've frayed them all. Okay, so just a few things I've been thinking about while I've been doing this. You probably will need a knife to take off some of the purity seals. I'm needing to do that on the this one rather than the clippers. Another couple of things. You can use the drill to quite a good effect to make bigger holes all on its own without needing to file it, just by drilling in at different angles. There's a good one there, just a thought. And the other one is if you do drill it into the heart like so, don't drill all the way through. You just want to drill about the depth of the cowl itself, like so. And you can take nice good long slices off the cloak at the bottom, which I've done. I just took slices along the edge as opposed to straight down. So I actually cut along the edge. Again, if you're doing this from a box set and you've not stuck them onto the base, it's going to be a lot easier to do that. But because this guy was quite far off, I was able to cut along like that as opposed to down and jagged. And that saves a little bit of time when you're doing the weathering effect. So just a few things I'm thinking about as I'm going along. I mean, this guy should be pretty easy to do the same on. It'll just be a case of getting the knife and just following the edge like that and wearing it down that way until you get to where you want to be. It's a bit easier than doing the tip effect and then filing it down. You can get this pretty much the same effect when you're done. But again, when they're stuck to base, it's really hard to do that. So I'll be back with you if I think of anything else. Otherwise, I'll see you at the end. Okay, so on this one, I've decided to do like a strange fungus type growth, or whatever it is, a plague type growth onto his cloak. Just where the purity seal was. So it's just a case of putting a bit of green stuff on there and then just mashing it in until you get a consistency that you like, just with a pointed edge like that. You can do it with pretty much any sculpting tool. It's just a case of getting it until it's fine enough that just like something's growing on the cloak, like so. I'm quite happy with that. It's cool. Right, moving on. Okay, and we're back. There's a whole squad done. I've done some conversion work on these. This was light conversion work, it's just some aesthetics. So, look at this guy, front. Gone with a symbol of Nurgle on there with a bit of a tongue coming out. It's dead easy to do. Just as I showed you before, you press down the three things and get a bit of green stuff, roll it into a tube, press it in with a tool, and then just put a line up the middle. You're done, basically. Easy to do, all easy Nurgle stuff. One of the reasons I like Nurgle. Put a little Nurgling, an old metal one. Got a few of them lying about. They'd been stripped down because I was going to use them, and then got the new plastic ones were released. That was a while back now. But yeah, put one on the base there, just to fill that base out a bit, because it's quite a large base with nothing on it. So I just thought, yeah, that'll do. So while I was putting these together, look at that one. Get that zoomed in. So that attached to a skull, like he's either draining the essence from it or knowledge. I was thinking about these guys' background, because there isn't loads of background for the Dark Mechanicum. And I quite like the idea of having my own dark forge world, if you will, whereby these dudes come from it. I could do with a name, so if anyone can think of a name for the forge world and a bit of background. I was sort of thinking, since it's sort of going Nurgle-y, perhaps a forge world that was infected by some plague of Nurgle, which also infected the machine parts of them as well. So in order to save themselves and the machine parts too, they turned to Nurgle. Just a bit like the Death Guard, really. You know, to save themselves, they turn to Nurgle. And then this phage that's call it a phage. It's very Star Trek. This phage that affects them. It's sort of like, or maybe a bit like the phage from Star Trek actually, if you've seen Star Trek Voyager. Those guys that keep having to replace parts of themselves. So these guys that keep having to replace parts of their selves, mechanical and biological. So like phage Borg, really. Right. Cool. And some finishing touches there, bending that back in. It'll come out of the hole in his chest. Dude there. Put the wire into his arm, so I'll just put a few wires from the Mechanicum symbol. Not all of them had not all of them had the symbol taken off. The ones that you can see are open and stuff. But when I do the next squads, before I stick them together, I'll take the symbol off them all and probably drill the hole in, pre-drill it all. It'll be a lot easier and a lot quicker. It's taken me a while to fiddle about with these guys. See how the work done on the ribs. Very cool. So, as I said, any ideas for names of a forge world they've come from? Any improvement on a phage type background with these guys permanently trying to replace parts of themselves? I quite like the idea of that. And they'll use anything they can, from demonic to Xenos technology to do it. It's obviously not the technology of the machine god or the Omnissiah, they're far beyond that. The Dark Mechanicum. Or maybe they believe they are following the true Omnissiah's path. You know, that's what swept them up in the first place, along with Horus. The Emperor's the false Omnissiah's herald, or whatever however it works, I keep forgetting. But this is the first squad for the Dark Mechanicum that I've adapted, obviously. So this guy won't be staying in the squad. I'll probably get one of these guys out. And so I've got 2 more box sets. So there's going to get 2 more of those in this squad. There'll be another squad of Rangers with 3 of these in. A squad of Vanguard, all armed with the plasma weapons. Because I don't mind blowing the Vanguard up, that's the job. So the next conversion up in the next video will be the Dragoon. Not entirely decided what I'm going to do with him yet. But if you've got any suggestions before I put the video up, then please let me know. But I hope you enjoyed seeing the first part of the conversion. I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to go too mad, I don't want to go too chaosy. I've already sort of like started to twist myself towards Nurgle without even really trying, so I don't want to go too far. I want to keep a lot of the original aesthetics, but I'm quite happy with how they look, and the rest will be done with the painting. So I'm thinking of a dark green, I know a lot of my Nurgle stuff's very light colours, like the Death Guard, and then the Warhammer Nurgle stuff I've got. If you've seen the video for, was it the Blight Kings? It was done under a white undercoat, and a lot of washes were used to put them together. And it turned out really well, but I want the more dark, metallic feeling to these guys, with a bit of rust. So, the next video you'll see these guys in is the painting video. I'll do a painting tutorial. Pick one of them and I shall do that, and I shall do the whole squad together so you can see that. And obviously the other conversions for the other models. Probably by the time this is out, the Sicarans will be out as well. Maybe even the Onager. Maybe even that'll be out. It depends on when I get this video up. But they're not out yet in my timeline. I did find this guy when I was rooting through the bits box parts to add to these. He's a very old tech priest. So if I can find a way to add him into the army, that will be very cool. Obviously by the time you've seen this I'll probably read the Codex, which I don't have yet because it's only out tomorrow, but the video for that will probably be up first. Very strange, times are a very strange thing. Time travelling Dark Mechanicum, there you go. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've seen some potential to do in the Dark Mechanicum. Please leave any comments you want of ideas or suggestions or anything you want at all, background or other conversions. I've already got some ideas, as I think I said earlier, about the Vanguard. I'm not quite sure how to implement them. If anyone has any ideas how to get a cheap bunch of sort of mechanical spider legs, please let me know. Because I'd like to incorporate that somewhere into the army. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. It helps out loads if you like and subscribe and leave comments on what you'd like to see. And thanks again for watching. So I hope you guys take care, and I hope to see you soon. Bye for now.